Alright, your APTA Standard Development Program recommended practices. Uh, the electric motor periodic inspection and maintenance. Introduction, frequency of conduct, 2 document requirements, specific tasks, materials, devices, tools, safety, personnel, protective equipment, training requirements, inspection, maintenance, diesel, DC motors, inspection, maintenance, AC motors, correction, deficiencies, 3 document maintenance, log reports, related APTA standards, reference, definition, abbreviations, acronyms, summary document, changes document history. Alright, introduction. The introduction is not part of the APT RP VIM 01002 revision. Recommended practice for the passenger electric motor periodic inspection maintenance. Recommended practice for the rail transit vehicle to represent the common viewpoint of the parties concerned within the provisions, namely transit operating planning agencies, manufacturer consultants, engineers, generally interest people. Groups. The application of standard practice guidelines contained herein and voluntary, in some cases federal or state regulations, give portions of the rail transit system operations. In those cases, the government standards would take precedence over the standard of the American Public Transportation Agency. Recognizes that the certain application for the standard practices implemented with the individual rail transit agencies may be either more or less restrictive than those given in the document. Recommended practice describe the basic inspection maintenance requirements for the electric motors found with the rail transit vehicles. The APTA recommends the use of the recommended practices by individual organization maintaining the electric motors on the rail transit vehicles, individuals organization that contact the other maintenance and electric motors on rail transit vehicles, individual organization influence how electric motors are maintained on rail transit vehicles. Alright, 1. Electric motor periodic inspection maintenance. 1. Frequency of conduct. Periodic inspection maintenance tasks for the electric motors shall be performed on a regular schedule as determined by the rail transit system. Frequency any task contained within the recommended practice shall comply with the applicable federal, state, local regulations. Maintenance tasks of electrical motors should be preferred on regular schedules to ensure proper operation of the equipment. Further, in the conduct of the rail transit system periodic inspection maintenance programs, frequency of the individual tasks should be established based on a number of additional factors, but not limited to the following: original equipment manufacturer recommended intervals, industry experience, operating environmental conditions, historical data, performance requirements, failure analysis, rail transit system testing, and experience reliability centered maintenance programs. Alright, 2. Requirement-specific tasks. Warning. Before working on electric parts, make sure that the appropriate system circuits and breakers and knife switches are open and properly locked and tagged in accordance with the rail transit system procedures. Alright, materials. The following materials are normally required with electric motor inspection maintenance. Approved of the lubricating out required original equipment manufacturer. Reference of the original equipment manufacturer maintenance manuals, additional appropriate form information, rail transit system, original equipment manufacturer's approved brushes, operating maintenance manual for a respective property, approved brush wear chart for electrical type, for each motor type operation. Figure 1 shows sample chart. And then that shows the chart. 2.2 Devices and tools. The following devices and tools are normally required with electric motor inspection maintenance. Standard tools carried by maintenance personnel: multimeter, torque wrench, spring gauge, sandpaper, medium grade. Note: do not use conductive abrasive cloth, micrometer, depth gauge, the grease gun, interested, grinding stones, inspection mirror, profilometer, dial indicator, flashlight, brush holder, box, go or no-go gauge, air hose, mega ammeter, 500 to 1,000 volts, air nozzle, pressure regulated. Devices and tools designated with the asterisk are required periodic calibration as specified with the rail transit system practices. 2.3 Safety personnel protective equipment. Appropriate personal protective equipment meeting the ANSI standards as required by the rail transit system shall be worn at all times in the performance of these inspection maintenance tasks. 2.4 Training requirements. Rail transit system maintenance contractors should develop and execute training program to provide employee with the knowledge skill necessary to safely, effectively perform the task outlined in the recommended practice. Visual aids are available to various brush manufacturers exhibiting the communicator brush conditions of the DC motors. Aids should such show be with the provided employees with the various recognizable motor conditions. 2.5 Inspection maintenance for the DC motors. Inspection maintenance check for the head general checks for all DC electric motors using supply voltage up to 100 volts DC. However, the checks are applied with only those motors that are economically feasible repaired. Check with a formula for tailored primarily transit traction motors. R251, your visual interior inspection. The visual inspection following. Fuel coils with the visible overheating shaft condition. If these conditions are found, they perform electric tests containing the 254. Fuel coil connectors where visible with discolorization, crack, looseness connections. If the conditions are found, they perform electrical tests containing 254. Security brush holder to the motor and necessary for the security in accordance with the original equipment and manufacturer recommendations. Condition of string band, Teflon band, epoxy type string band must not indicate signs of cracking, chipping, or the flaking appearance of the uneven color. Teflon type may be identified with a type V ring and the contact of the communicator bars or no peeling. Any type of the hole that have been caused by the motor flashover. If any of these conditions exist, to replace the motor, the mounting hardware, or the looseness, all hardware should be torqued to original equipment manufacturer specifications. Bearing and lubrication leakage. No leakage is allowed on the interior of the motor. Inspect the signs of flashover, end of communicator string, Teflon band, flash arc horns. And flashing is known by the dressing of the clean area with the vacuum blowout inside of the motor and dressing flash over. Communicator conditions ideal shown in figure 2 with a review of the communicator conditions shown in figure 3. The burnt bar edge, bar burning, streaking, grooving, copper dragging, and threading. If one in these conditions is observed, the stone communicator illustrated in figure 4 will replace the motor. Figure 2 shows an ideal service. Figure 3, communicator problems. Burnt edge bar, communicator, bar burning, streaking, and grooving. Figure 3, communicator problems, copper dragging, threading. And figure 4 shows a motor stone tool. R254, your visual exterior inspection. Visual inspection following. The inlet filter is applicable with the exception of the dirt and damage clean. Replace with the filter original equipment, the manufacturer recommendation. Motor mounts resilient or steel failure breakage condition. Resilient mounts of ground straps between the stator truck frame must not show signs of cracking damage. Leads of an overheating of the opening of the lead cleat with the found will determine the cause of the play of the lead as required. All loose hardware shall be torqued with original equipment and manufacturer specifications. Motor lead shall not shave and indicate broken insulation. Chafing is found within reposition the handle. The lead, if broken insulation is found, replace with the motor. Bearing cap and cartridge overheating, lubricating leakage, if found with a perfect and perform corrective action, determine the cause. Plate for the motor is required. All mounting hardware and looseness found with loose for the torque of the original equipment, the manufacturer specification. To expedite future inspections, all torque stripes and witness marks of the mounting hardware. All ground strap cables and insulation good condition show no signs of cracking, overheating, or fraying. Place if required. All loose hardware shall torque to the original equipment, the manufacturer specifications. No, if a motor is found vibrating unusually or noisily, identified with the problem. If then found with a replace and repair and replace this motor is required. Alright, 253, your mechanical inspection. Inspect brush missing, chipping with incidental clip chips if they do not require replacement, discolorization, loose, broken, stranded fraying. Replace the in-kind of these conditions exist. Make sure brush length of the per original equipment manufactured individual rail transit system property specifications. Ensure that they will not exceed condemning limits of the next inspection. Use an improved chart of the brush wear limits of those required based on the railway transportation operation limited. See figure 1. Place kind brushes do not meet with the specification of original equipment the manufacturer of the rail or rail transit system. If the brushes will not meet the service life before the next inspection, note that the brush is replaced and all other brushes the same motor must be for the same brush manufacturer type grade. C. Brush holder. Measure the brush holder distance communicator per original equipment manufacturer specification adjust as required. Note, nominal distance of many motors is between 3/32 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch. Measure both all brush holder communicator risers of original equipment manufacturer specifications. Adjust as required. Measure the brush holder distance between the arc horn applicable to the original equipment per original equipment manufacturer specification. Adjust as required. If a problem is identified with either the spring gauge with the measure of spring tension with the top of the brush with the correct of the brush pressure is essential optimum motor operation. Replace spring arm with the original equipment manufacturer rail transit specification. The system is not met. Note: normal pressure for the rail transit and vehicle motor is 6 to 10 pounds. Verify brushes move freely with no binding successfully with the brush box binding and with excessive movement with evident. Use the brush holder no-go gauge to determine the correct operating limits. Place with the brush holder no-go specification fail original equipment the rail transit specifications. That brush holder passes the go or no-go inspection. The brush shall indicate signs of loose fit. Then measure brush dimensions according to the original quote in the manufacturer specification. Replace brushes as required. Part 8. Check for the proper shunting dressing. Check for the shunting dressing essential for the motor operation. Proper routing. Make over the brush to bind with the brush box, causing brush to lose contact with the communicator surface. Check for the original quote the manufacturer specifications. Proper shunt dressing of the motor question. Check for the communicator with the high mica and the low mica communicator deficiency. Check a flash point from signs of damage. Measure the total communicator total indicated run out. Using the dial indicator profile meter. Figure 5 for the dial indicator. Figure 5 shows your dial indicator communicator. Figure 4. Electrical warning. Under no circumstance should the merger be used on energized lines of the equipment that do not use the merger in a flammable explosive atmosphere. A. Disconnect motor leads. B. Connect the motor leads so that all the leads and feel the armature windings of the motor together insulated with the ground and not practical to connect all the windings together. Then the leads to each individual wiring should be connected together, insulated with the grounded. Connect 500 to 1,000 volt DC megger in accordance with the rail transit system procedure between each connected group of leads, clean motor frame ground. Operate megger and record megger reading in accordance with the rail transit system requirements. Repair in place was required. Warning: discharge windings after each test using a megger built-in shorting feature. If so equipped, separate the insulated discharge jumper. 255 cleaning. Warning: to avoid personal injury with the compressed air, dislodging dirt with the debris with the wear appropriate eye and respiratory protection. Compressed dried air used for cleaning must be reduced to less than 30 psi per OSHA. Title 29 CFR 1910-242B. How the low-pressure compressed air nozzle blow carbon, dust, and dirt from the interior of the motor, each preventing maintenance cycle determined by the surface environment. Filters for the gasket should be checked with the proper seal when insulated. Check the security of the gasket filters required. Replace with the repairs necessary. If equipped with removal of the filters, then clean in accordance with the original equipment manufacturer recommendations. If the filters are deteriorated by the uncleanable, to replace with a serviceable filter, clean for brush holder, insulator string, Teflon band, dry clean cloth, lubricant. Warning: do not over-grease motor bearing couplings, but must be sure for the recommended original equipment manufacturer rail transit system requirements. Check for the lubricating leakage, internal, external, and found with determine the cause. Replace with the motor in accordance with the rail transit system requirements. Check motor coupling with the proper lubrication, measuring depth as possible. Check the original equipment manufacturer RTS specifications for the proper depth. 2.6. Inspection maintenance of the AC motors. Inspection maintenance check for the section with the general checks for all AC electrical motors up to 100 volts AC. However, these checks should be applied only to the motors that are economically feasible to the repair. These checks are primarily tailored with the transit vehicle traction motor. 2.61. Visual interior inspection. Inspect the bearing, lubricant leakage if possible. No leakage is allowed with the interior of the motor if found and replace with the motor. 2.62. Visual and exterior inspection. Visual inspection following the inlet filter, if applicable, except for the dirt or damage, clean and replace filter over the original equipment manufacturer recommendations. Motor mounts resilient steel failure leakage condition resilient mounts of the ground strap between the stator of the truck frame must not show sign of the cracking or damage. Lead: the overheating of the opening of the lead cleat found with the determined cause of the replacement of the lead as required. All loose hardware should be torqued with the original equipment manufacturer. Motor leads shall not chafe. If indicated with broken insulation, chafing is found with the repositioning of the lead. If the broken insulation is found with the replacement of the motor. Inspect with the bearing and lubricating leakage if found with the replacement of the motor. If the mounting hardware looseness with the founding loose with the torque of the original equipment manufacturer specifications during expedite future inspection, all apply torque stripes and witnesses marks mounting hardware. The all ground striped cables, installation good condition, show no sign of the chafing, overheating of the frame, with the place if required. All loose hardware should be torqued to original equipment the manufacturer specifications. If any motor found vibrating usually noisily, identify the problem found with the repair and replace the motor as required. Alright, your electrical inspection. Conduct the motor installation test for the real transit system, original equipment manufacturer, and recommendations. Replace the motor if necessary. Cleaning. Warning: to avoid possible injury while using compressed air with a dislodged dirt with a debris, with wear appropriate respiratory protection. Compressed dried air used for the cleaning must be reduced to less than 30 psi. OSHA Title 29, CFR 1910-242. Use low pressure compressed air nozzle below the dirt from the interior of the motor at a preventive maintenance cycle to determine the surface environment. 256. Lubricating. Warning: do not overgrease. Motor bearings and couplings must be shipped with the recommended of the original equipment manufacturer rail transit system procedure. Inspection: lubricating leakage, internal, external, final will determine the cause. Replace with the motor if required in accordance with the rail transit system requirements. Inspect motor coupling and proper lubrications, measuring the depth of the possible the original equipment manufacturer rail transit system specification proper depth. 2.7. Of the correction of the deficiency. Any deficiency during the inspection required within 2.5 through 2.6 should be corrected with the document in accordance with the rail transit system procedure original equipment manufacturer recommendation. 3. Documentation maintenance log reports. All maintenance performed on the rail transit vehicles must be documented. The documentation shall be noted with a unified type of the motor electronic paper filled with the rail transit system shall include the following: car number, the motor serial number, the day of the maintenance performed, location of the motor, description of the problem, corrective action, part placed, original test, inspection, mileage, hours, date, since the last maintenance activity, serial number, the parts of the install, with the removal, if applicable, the signature, identification number of the person performing the maintenance activity. Related APTA reference definitions, and then abbreviation summary of documentation, document history. Alright, and that was, once again, that was electric motor periodic inspection maintenance.